You think you pause while speaking English because you do not have enough vocabulary. But that is not true. In fact, you already know more words than you think. You understand English when you listen. You can read it easily. Sometimes you even form full sentences in your mind without any problem. So then why does everything fall apart the moment you start speaking? Welcome back to the channel. If you have ever started speaking English with confidence, and then suddenly stopped in the middle of a sentence, trying to find the right words while the other person waits, you are not alone. Most people believe their problem is vocabulary. They think if they just learn more words, their speaking will improve automatically. But the truth is, your problem is not about how many words you know. It is about what your brain is doing while you are trying to speak. And once you understand this, your entire approach to speaking English will change. The real reason you pause. The real reason you pause while speaking English is not because you lack vocabulary. It is because your brain is trying to control everything at the same time while you speak. The moment you begin a sentence, your mind shifts from expressing an idea to monitoring your language. Instead of focusing on communication, it starts focusing on correctness, and that small shift creates a big problem in your flow. Your brain begins asking multiple questions at once. Is this grammar correct? Am I using the right tense? Does this word sound natural? And will the other person judge me if I say something wrong? All of this happens within seconds. Because of this, your brain gets overloaded, and when that happens, it slows down your ability to respond smoothly. At that point, you are no longer speaking naturally. You are trying to construct the perfect sentence before saying anything out loud. Your thoughts get delayed because your brain is busy editing instead of expressing. This is why even when you know what you want to say, you still hesitate and pause in the middle of your sentence. This creates a strange experience where simple sentences suddenly feel difficult. Words that you already know become harder to access, and you start doubting yourself. The more you try to fix your sentence in your head, the more pressure you feel, and that pressure makes your pauses longer and more noticeable. Fluent speakers do not go through this process. They do not stop themselves to check every small detail before speaking. They focus on delivering their message, even if it is not perfect. But when you try to get everything right in real time, your brain cannot keep up with the speed of conversation, and that is what breaks your flow. Over time, this becomes a habit. Your brain starts associating speaking English with pressure and caution. So, every time you try to speak, you automatically slow down, overthink, and pause. It is not because you cannot speak. It is because your mind has learned to hold you back. What is actually happening in your mind? When you try to speak English, your brain is not working in one simple step. It is going through multiple layers at the same time, and that is where the real problem begins. First, you think of the idea in your own language, then you try to convert it into English, and after that, you start checking if the sentence is correct before speaking. This entire process creates a delay that you experience as a pause. This habit of translating in your head slows everything down. Instead of thinking directly in English, your brain takes an extra step every single time you speak. That extra step may feel small, but in a real conversation, it makes a huge difference. Conversations move fast, and your brain cannot keep up when it is busy converting and correcting at the same time. Because of this, your attention gets divided. One part of your mind is trying to express your idea, while another part is busy translating and fixing the sentence. This creates confusion, And when your brain cannot handle both tasks together, it chooses to pause. That pause is not a failure. It is your brain trying to catch up. Over time, this turns into a pattern. Your brain starts believing that speaking English requires extra effort and extra time. So even before you speak, it prepares itself to slow down. That is why you often feel stuck even before completing your sentence, as if your thoughts are not coming out as quickly as they should. The truth is, fluent speakers do not translate every sentence in their head. They think in simple English and speak in real time. But when you depend on translation, you are always one step behind the conversation. And that gap between thinking and speaking is exactly where your pauses are created. So, the problem is not your vocabulary, and it is not your intelligence. It is the process your brain is following. And until you change that process, the pauses will continue, no matter how many new words you learn. How to stop pausing while speaking? If you want to stop pausing while speaking English, you do not need more vocabulary. You need to change the way your brain approaches speaking. Instead of trying to create perfect sentences, you need to train yourself to express ideas quickly, even if they are simple or slightly imperfect. Fluency comes from flow, not from perfection. The first shift you need to make is this. Stop building long sentences in your head before speaking. Start with small, clear phrases. When your sentences are shorter, your brain has less pressure to process everything at once. This makes it easier to speak without freezing in the middle. Another important change is to stop translating your thoughts. Try to think in simple English, even if it feels basic at first. Your goal is not to sound advanced. Your goal is to respond without delay. The more you practice thinking directly in English, the faster your brain will adapt, and your pauses will start reducing naturally. You also need to give yourself permission to make mistakes while speaking. Right now, your brain is stopping you because it wants everything to be correct. But when you accept that mistakes are part of the process, that pressure starts to disappear. And when the pressure goes down, your speaking becomes smoother. One simple habit that can help you immediately is this. When you feel stuck, do not stay silent. Continue speaking with whatever words you have. Even if your sentence is not perfect, keep moving forward. This trains your brain to focus on communication instead of correction. Over time, this new approach rewires your thinking pattern. Your brain stops overanalyzing every sentence and starts trusting your natural ability to speak. And that is the moment when your pauses begin to disappear, and your speech starts to flow more naturally. The shift that changes everything. At the end of the day, your problem is not that you cannot speak English. The real problem is that you have trained your brain to hesitate before speaking. Over time, you have built a habit of stopping, checking, and doubting yourself before every sentence. And when this becomes automatic, it starts feeling like speaking is naturally difficult, even though it is not. The moment you stop treating speaking like a test, everything begins to change. Right now, every conversation feels like something where you have to perform well, avoid mistakes, and prove that you are good enough. That pressure is what slows you down. But when you shift your focus from performance to expression, your mind starts to relax, and your words begin to come out more easily. You need to understand one important truth. Fluency is not about speaking perfectly. It is about speaking continuously. It is about allowing your thoughts to flow without interrupting yourself again and again. Because in real conversations, people are not analyzing your grammar. They are simply trying to understand what you are saying. The reason fluent speakers sound confident is not because they know every rule. It is because they trust themselves while speaking. They do not stop after every word to check if it is correct. They keep going, adjust along the way, and stay focused on communication instead of correction. Right now, your brain is doing the opposite. It is trying to protect you from making mistakes, but in doing so, it is actually blocking your natural flow. Every time you pause, overthink, or restart a sentence, you are reinforcing the habit of hesitation. And the more you repeat this pattern, the stronger it becomes. But the moment you decide to speak without constantly stopping yourself, you begin to break that pattern. At first, it may feel uncomfortable. You may feel like your sentences are not perfect or polished. But that is exactly where your growth begins. Because fluency is built in motion, not in silence. As you continue speaking without overchecking, your brain slowly adapts to this new way of thinking. It becomes faster, more flexible, and more confident. You start responding without long pauses, your sentences become smoother, and your overall communication improves without you even realizing it. And then one day, you notice something different. You are no longer afraid of speaking. You are no longer stuck in the middle of sentences. You are simply expressing your thoughts, naturally and freely. So, the next time you speak, do not aim to be perfect. Do not wait for the ideal sentence. Just start, continue, and trust your flow. Because the moment you stop pausing and start expressing, that is the moment you truly begin to speak English. If this video made you realize that your problem is not vocabulary, but the way your brain is working while you speak, then you are already one step ahead of most people. Because awareness is where change begins. From now on, every time you pause in the middle of a sentence, do not judge yourself. Just notice what is happening. Notice the overthinking, the checking, the pressure to be perfect. And instead of stopping, allow yourself to continue, even if it is not perfect. That small shift, repeated again and again, will completely change the way you speak over time. Fluency is not something you achieve in one day. It is something you build every time you choose to keep speaking instead of stopping yourself. And the more you trust your voice, the more natural your English will start to feel. If this changed the way you see your English, consider hitting subscribe and staying connected for more. If you found this helpful, a like really supports the content and helps it reach more people. You can share this with someone who understands English but still struggles to speak naturally. Try writing one simple sentence in English in the comments, without translating, just your thoughts. If you want to keep improving step by step, turn on the bell icon so you do not miss what comes next. Thank you for watching and putting in the effort to improve. It truly means a lot that you chose to spend your time learning with this video.